Welcome. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Amanda.
and this is episode 39 of Books and Bingos. This week we're discussing books by young adult romance author Kasie West. So, Amanda, why is Kasie West such a popular pick, and why is she like the queen of YA romance?
I feel like she is like a great transition for our, sixth grade, middle school kids coming in, wanting that romance, but not quite ready for something a little bit higher in the YA. I call it, it's like baby YA romance, because really in all of her books are so heartwarming and there's, hand holding, potentially a kiss at the end, nothing too advanced or anything like that. So I feel like it's a great one that I highlight with my younger middle school students to get them ready for that genre.
I cannot keep the Summer I Turned Pretty on the shelf at my library. Like I just can't keep any of them on the shelf. And I think it's just so recognizable for them because the show is available and they're watching that. So
Right.
this is where I point all of my kids who like that. I'm like, if you like this, Kasie West is going to be your jam. Like she's
Right.
anything you're wanting, trust
Yes.
me.
Yes. She has such a big catalog to choose from too. Like it's not like the Summer I Turned Pretty to All the Boys I Loved Before. Like those are great, and but they're like trilogies and then they're done. Casey's been doing this like a hot minute, so she has like a lot of books to choose from. So I love that.
And a lot of the standalones are good for the kids because unless they're super into something, they don't really necessarily want to keep reading, especially like the romance readers. Like
For
they're ready
sure.
for the romance and then they're ready to be done. So I
Right.
like a lot of them are one and done.
Absolutely.
All right, Amanda, go ahead and tell us about your first pick.
Okay, so my first one is Borrow My Heart. So this one is actually I think it came out in 2022, but like I was waiting to read it because I'd heard it was a duology and that there will be a second one. So I kind of usually like to do those back to back if I can. But this is a great lighthearted young adult romance for the online generation. It follows Ren, who loves control, rules, routine. She even has like dating rules for herself. And if they don't measure up, they're out, right? I think it stems a lot from her mother abandoning their family, leaving Ren, her sister, and her dad. And when Ren is hanging out with her best friend Kamala, she's at Kamala's coffee shop that she works at, and she overhears these two guys. One is waiting for this girl that he met online to show up while his other friend is recording for TikTok. And he is guessing the whole time that the other guy is getting catfished, right? Like all signs point to catfishing with this one. She never sent a picture of herself, just lots of things that had lots of red flags. So Ren feels guilty, I mean, feels bad for this guy, and she ends up like changing clothes that she had in her bag and walking back into the coffee shop and pretending to be his date. Well, Asher is such a golden retriever of a guy, like of a male main, character lead. He is just so sweet and he's so excited about meeting her and she doesn't want to disappoint him. So she keeps not telling him the truth. Together they end up working at the local animal shelter. And the longer time they spend together, the harder Ren falls for him. But then again, the longer you go without telling someone the truth, the harder it's going to be when the truth actually comes out. Um, I feel like this one, it wasn't my favorite of hers. I absolutely love Kamala and Dale, the two side characters, each the best friends of the main characters. And I have a feeling that their story will be the second one in this series or duology, whatever she ends up doing with it. So it's definitely one to keep your eye on, especially if you like dogs. It very much has a lot of dog content for those of you that are pet lovers. Content warnings include alcohol and parental abandonment. Very, very light on the content warnings for this one. No dogs die, so that's always a good thing. And then the bingo squares it would work for would be female author, romance, and Kasie West.
I do feel like a lot of hers have some like silly miscommunication, or in this case, like a lie that is like
Yeah.
cause of the tension, which as an adult, it's just like, oh my God. But it is dead on for the kids. And that's always
Yeah.
what I'm trying to remember when I'm reading this. Like, the kids will eat this up.
Yeah,
This is
it's not
something that
for
would
us.
happen to the kids. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So I know it's usually for a good reason. Like I get why she's lying. Like she doesn't want to tell him that this girl like it just didn't work out and that it was probably some 60-year-old man, you know? And so she is trying and then but then it's because she likes him and how do you know if he likes the online version or actually her, right? Because they're two different people.
Is she going by her own name?
Yes, she does. And he catches it and says, oh, of course you wouldn't go by your real name online because that's not safe. So, like, he's like really a sweet guy that's trying to like make this happen.
Well, and for whatever weird drama she creates to make these books work, I feel like her main male characters are always like the sweetest guys,
Yes.
which I love. It's like, the anti-Twilight where they're just so nice. Do you know what I mean? It's like this is what you should be looking for, children. Like a nice,
Right.
nice guy. Yes,
Right. And we want you to find these kinds of guys in real life. And I know they're out
absolutely.
there.
I just recently finished Sunkissed. It's a YA summer romance. It is basically exactly Dirty Dancing, but instead of the dancing part, it's music. So dirty music doesn't sound right. Our main character has just discovered her boyfriend has been cheating secretly with her best friend, and now she's been whisked away to this camp in the woods with her family with no access to the outside world for like 2 months. So, in a way, she feels like this is good. She can just not talk to either of them while she's figuring things out. But she also kind of realizes that she just avoids things in life in general, just like she's avoiding this confrontation with these two. In the meantime, of course, she meets a cute boy. He is working in the band, like the local, I don't know what to call it, like the house band, I
Mhm.
guess, for the camp. And of course, there's like a no fraternizing rule. So they're always like sneaking around. And it's a very, will they, won't they type of romance. But while I liked the romance and I liked all of the meetings between them, I think the best part of the book is that our main character is realizing that she needs to take more control of her own life so she gets more of what she's wanting. She's learned that she's been very passive so far and just kind of going along for the ride, and she doesn't like that, and she doesn't want to be that person anymore. So she steps out of her shell, she starts making decisions for herself, and I just think that's such an amazing message because, even as an adult, that's hard sometimes, not to just go with the flow. So I think that was my absolute favorite part of this book. I was cheering her on all the way. So, content warnings for cheating, anxiety, and panic attacks, vomit, chronic illness. The squares are romance, Kasie West, and female author.
I loved this one. It gave me such like you're right. Like it did feel so much like Dirty Dancing. It's like in the Catskills, like on a summer. So like we have like a summer camp episode coming up that this would be like perfect for the like, if you're thinking about your summer reads already, this one will definitely check that box.
Absolutely.
My second one is Better Than Revenge. This one is quintessential Kasie West. It is, I read the e-arc of it, and it follows Finley, who has been waiting forever for the chance to audition for her campus's podcast. But at the last minute, her boyfriend decides, I'll audition as well. And which one of them gets it? He does. And so, like, he like stole her dream basically, and now she's out for revenge. So Finley ends up teaming up with the star kicker of the football team who is he's going to graduate, and her boyfriend was going to take his place, right? Well, see, Finley used to play soccer, and so homegirl can kick. So they start training and getting her ready to try out to take the kicker spot away from her ex next school year. But then along the way, of course, Theo, her kicking coach, ends up being somebody that she starts to have real feelings for as she's trying kind of processing through the other breakup. Um, this was one of my favorites of Kasie West's. I think it has a great subplot featuring Finley's grandmother who has Alzheimer's. as well as Finley's struggle with perfection, which is something I also struggle with. I believe the tropes would be he falls first, enemies to lovers, sports. And then you can always count on West to provide such a great YA like beginner romance for middle schoolers, and that if they're ready to dip their toe into this genre, I really feel like this one rises to the top for me, and I'm so excited because it releases January 7th. And the content warnings would be Alzheimer's and injury. Again, very low on content warnings because it's just like a feel good, easy, cute romance for our kids to read. The bingo scores would be female author, romance, Kasie West, and 2025 release.
Like we mentioned, I think she does a really good job too of balancing like realistic issues. It's not just like a miscommunication or like in your first book, like a lie. That's like not the only thing that's going on usually.
Right.
There are subplots that have something that the kids will be able to relate to, like issues with their parents, or
Mhm.
maybe with the sibling, or maybe with themselves. So I like that that's always present. I think that that really helps ground the romances instead of it just being,
Fluffy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it makes it more realistic, and I think it makes it more like rewarding than as a romance because you were so psyched when they, fight their way through these things and then they end up together. Uh,
Right?
the next one I want to talk about is my favorite Kasie West because, of course, it is. It's called By Your Side. Two teens end up locked over the long weekend inside the library together. And really, all they have to go on each other is the assumptions they've heard around school. He doesn't have the greatest reputation, and she feels like her hopefully soon to be boyfriend is going to come back and save her any minute, and he doesn't. So they end up spending the whole weekend together, stuck in the library, living off the vending machine food. And if that does not sound like the best, like, meet cute romance setup, I don't know what is. Like, this is like would be amazing. But anyway, while they're kind of opening up to each other that weekend in the library, I think they're both wondering what's going to happen when they get out and they're no longer trapped together. What happens in the real world? So I think this again was another one where she does a good job of creating like realistic problems that are not just like for drama's sake. They're realistic and it makes sense that these things might affect the kids and their relationship. So I think this was an irresistible setup. I enjoyed these teens. I enjoyed the struggles they went through and how they came together. And I love this one with a library setting. How could I not? I recommend this one all the time. And a lot of my like adult friends are like, ugh, because they like a lot of my friends don't like romance, but I'm like, this is the one though. This is the one because it's a library. The content warnings would be panic attack disorders and mental illness and a car accident, drug use, and medical content. The squares, which I did not write down, but I do know, would be romance, Kasie West, and female author.
This one gave me Breakfast Club vibes because they're trapped in the library, but it's not six characters. It's literally just the two of them. And again, there's like that assumptions part, right? Because with Breakfast Club, the jock, and then at the end you find they have so many other things to them, so many different layers. And what does that look like outside of the library, which we don't get to see on the Breakfast Club, but I love By Your Side as well. That's definitely one of my favorites of hers. Yeah, if you're a librarian and you haven't read it, like, what are you even doing with your life? Like, get on it.
I feel like I need to look for like a holiday where they're gonna be closed and just be like, whoopsie. See what happens. My luck though, I'm gonna be like trapped in with some strange person or just alone, which would also be a strange person. All right, and those are our recommendations for the week. If you have questions, suggestions, or comments, reach out on social media at Books and Bingos or email us at booksandbingos@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and join us again next week when we'll be recommending February new releases. Happy reading!